Well, we are finally back home, and before we head out on our next adventure, there's some things I've got to do to the camper to get it ready for that. One of the things I have to do is this right here. I'll hold that up. What this is an underlayment for our bed. To sort of provide a little air space for the mattress to lay on. It's supposed to help prevent mold, so that's going to be one project. Another project is one I put off because I wanted to make sure I was ready for it, and it's in this little box right here. And I went out and I bought one bigger than what I needed, but one that we could use for the future. And it's this little thing right here. Yes, that is a shunt. It is a smart shunt made by Victron, 500 amps. The battery I have is 300. So we're going to hook this up to the battery. And then I've already downloaded the app. I'll pull it up here on my phone. So it's just a matter then of syncing up the phone to this and getting it all to work properly. So I'm going to do that. Now the first thing I've got to do is get this mattress off of this bed and get it into this little aisle right here so I can get back there and get to the battery. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to take off the inverter that's attached back there. We haven't used it. I don't think we will use it. We've got too many things set up now to where that we can use the 12-volt plugs to take care of those things. I thought it through. I think we're okay with that we can use the 12-volt. Even the TV, I've got a little inverter that I can plug into the cigarette lighter and we can watch the TV. So I'm going to get rid of that and hang on to it for later, because there might come a time later when I will find somebody who is able to tie that inverter into the outlets on the camper. And then we'll keep that inverter hidden somewhere under here. So that's just for the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the mattress. I'm going to get this area ready so that I can start on it. And then with your help, let's get this installed. Oh, that was easier than the last time I did it. Oops, this came off the mattress. I might be in trouble. Oh, it says, under penalty of law, this tag not to be removed except by the consumer. I'm a consumer, so I'm safe. Yay. All right, so the next step is to remove the table leaves here. This is what would have made the table if we were going to be using this as a table. And then I'm also going to remove this. This was the little Renogy controller that would turn on and off the inverter that's underneath. That's going to come out also. So this came off real easy. I just used a command strip to hold it in place. This is the 2000 watt Renogy inverter back here. It's got a black and a red and a green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this box out and see what the black and the red are attached to, and the green, what that's attached to. I'm sure that's a ground. And there's 4 screws, I think. I think there's 2 screws up here, and I think there's a couple of screws down here that need to come out. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. There it is. So before I take this cover off, I just want you to know that the battery disconnect has been turned off. So the battery is disconnected from the rest of the camper. I am not hooked up to shore power. And around this battery, I am going to be more than extremely careful. I do not want to get electrocuted, and that can happen with a battery. So as you can see back here, it's pretty dirty. This is the ground here, and then here, this is the negative, the power. All the power is going right there. There's the red going out. So what I'm going to do is and the red is going through a fuse over there, which is fine with me. So what I'm going to do is loosen up these connections here, disconnect everything from the battery before I start then taking off the inverter. So as you can see, I've removed both nuts, and there's the red, here's the black, and I used a 1/2-inch socket right there to get those off. Now I'm going to go to the outside of this and remove these cables, because these are the cables that I want to use for the shunt. I had to think of what I'm putting in here. So those are the cables I want to use for the shunt. There it is, the Renogy 2000 watt inverter. It wasn't hard to get off. There was a couple little screws here and here, same on the other side, that held it in place. And then I had to remove these on the end of it here. So they're just sort of hanging here right now. So the next step then is to figure out what I want to do inside where the battery is, and to try to figure out what's negative and positive and where the load is going and all of that. I don't know if you can see this, but see how this is bent. And when I went to take this one off, it wasn't even very tight at all. So to me, that's just poor workmanship on the install of that inverter. And I'm glad I got it out, because these things are supposed to be very, very tight, and I don't know about this one being bent, to be honest with you. So since we no longer need this red wire here, I disconnected it from the battery from here, and I'm going to remove the fuse down there, because all this was doing was supplying power to the inverter. What I will use then is this, and I will connect all that up. This will go to one side of the shunt. This then will go to the other side of the shunt and then reconnect back to here, I hope. So I got the cables off the fuse there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that fuse, and I'm going to use that spot for my shunt. So let's see how that goes. Well, I've run into a little bit of a problem. The connection here, these bolts are much bigger than these wire ends. So I've got to figure out some way to get these wire ends to where that they will fit this bolt. All right, so what I ended up doing was, this was the old fuse that was on the red cable that went out to the inverter. I took the two wires here that the connections were too small, put them on this end. I took the other red wire that came off of the inverter and put it in here. It fit down here on the shunt. And then I took the other red wire, it fit from the shunt up to the battery. Now if you notice, they're red. I know they're supposed to be black. That's why I wrapped the black tape around them, and I've got a black cap on the end of that to show that that is the negative side of it. So right now everything seems to be connected. I'm going to pull up my app here and show you, and it is connecting, and there you go. Everything seems to be working good at it. I'm getting a good connection. What I'm going to do now is plug my camper in and bring the battery up to 100% and then reset the state of charge once the battery is at 100%. So I'm going to go do that, and then it's just a matter of setting all the little connections in there and get it to the way you want it to be. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. The only problem I had was the connectors being too small for the shunt, but I was able to get around that. I don't think the fuse is going to hurt anything. It's there. I'd rather have a fuse there. I'd rather be safe than sorry with anything. What I did with the ground wire was I wrapped it up and I put tape on the end of it, since we don't need that ground wire now. I've still got other connections that I can use down there for the Victron. I've got a connection that will allow me to hook it up to a unit, a wall unit, and I've got a connection there that will allow me to hook up a temperature sensor on the battery. Just FYI, for those who said that I can leave the battery in the camper throughout the winter, no, 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 no. I contacted Renogy about it. I went straight to the horse's mouth. And according to the horse, nay, take the battery out in the winter. So when you go to store the camper, when it starts getting cold and you're shutting everything down, take that battery out, take it in the house or wherever so that it can stay warm and that you can monitor the charge on it. So that's straight from the horse's mouth. I'm happy with this. I'm going to put the cover back on, and it's been a challenge, but hey, we got through the challenge.